You can see this is a timed raid. It says we got 42 minutes left. We won't need anywhere near that time, so no worries there. I also want to say before I start figuring out jobs and explaining things, you can see there's a ramp in front of us and there's like a raised walkway. With the little bit of lag we've been having, it can be very dangerous to walk around that walkway because you could fall off easy if we just lag for a second. So what I want you to do is, if you're new, I want you to step over to the side and make sure you don't fall off, but come over here to where I am. And I just want you to see that under the main island in the middle, if you look down, you'll see there's a little island floating out there. And right now we're like hovering in space. So if it's your first time in here, welcome to your first space raid. You can see there's a little island under the main island, and if you fall, you want to try to feather fall over to that. There's a portal there that'll bring you right back up here. If you miss that island, you're just going to find yourself like falling down into the marketplace, and you'll be out of the raid and you won't be able to get back in. So it's really, really important you don't fall, and if you fall, it's really important that you try to, you make it over to that center platform. Alright, I need to do some job assignments here, so I just need a minute to type these in and then I'll explain how it's going to work. Okay, it looks like I got everybody.
Base 1 as in first base, and we're at home plate?
Exactly. So, but it's kind of upside down, like if you think about a baseball diamond. In any event, once we go up the ramp, base 1 is to the left, and base 2, you just keep going around. It's opposite us, and then base 3, the base 3 people will go to the right. So it's like a big circle or a big baseball diamond, and at each there's an island. At each base is an island, and at each base there's going to be some trash mobs, and there's going to be a djinn, and there's going to be a pillar. Now, most pugs these days, I don't think are going to be too organized about this. They're just going to basically go in and try to smash everything as fast as possible, and most of the time that's going to work eventually. But because this is a teaching raid, I do want to be a little more organized about it, and I also, this part can actually be incompletable. If you can't get all the objectives done at the base, and people start dying, the dragon can actually burn away the bridges in between the bases, making it so that you can't get over to them, and just making this part incompletable before you ever even get to the dragon. So everybody's assigned to a base, and so the base 1 and 2 people are going to run to the left when you get to the top of the ramp, and the base 3 people are going to run to the right. And so what I want you to do when you get to your base, I want you to immediately kill all trash. It's going to be things like mephits and fire elementals. And then I want you to prep the genies to 20%. Now, if you were doing this like, I don't know, if you're doing this like at level elite, you might try to prep them down a little bit more, and traditionally they would prep them more, but people have so much DPS, we're so over level compared to what this raid was, originally intended for, that if you try to prep them to like 5 or 10 like you used to back in the day, then you can very, very easily kill them by accident. So we're going to kill all the trash, prep the genies to 20%. And once all bases have reported that they've prepped the genies to 20%, we're going to kill the genies, and that's going to bring down a force field that was protecting a pillar that's at the back of each base. And so as soon as we kill the genie, the pillar becomes vulnerable, and then we kill the pillars, and the pillars are constructs. So use whatever you have that's good against constructs. And we have like a, I don't know, maybe like a 10-second window to take down all the pillars at the same time, and if we don't, then the pillars regenerate to full, and then we have to try to beat them down again, all within 10 seconds. And if we fail to do that, if we repeatedly fail to do that, the genies will respawn and the trash will respawn. The barrier protecting the pillar will come back up, and you have to kill everything again. And so this is the part where, like, if you're not coordinated, you can fail right here. So ideally, we'll get all these bases done, and then once that happens, we just all come back and go right to the center. So we don't come back to home base. We actually like come back around the platforms and right into the big middle island, which is where the dragon's going to be. If you have DDO on your island, that's great. You can DDO back to home base and just run straight in. So in other words, if you were going to go up that ramp and continue straight, that's where we want to end up for the final part of the raid after we do the bases. So we're going to kill the trash, prep the gens to 20%. Once they're all prepped, we're going to give the kill order, and then we're going to take down the pillars, and then we're going to go to the center and fight the dragon. Any questions?
So tell me what to do.
Now when we fight the dragon, it's a red dragon, so it's Vela, and she's going to be breathing fire at us. And it's not too bad these days. You know, back in the day, Epic Elite, she could do a lot of damage. The way it was traditionally done is, you know, when she is going to breathe fire, she does a little tell by snorting flames out of her nose, and that would tell you she's going to do her fire breath in a couple seconds, and people would run away and hide behind a stone, a stalagmite, until she got done breathing, and then you'd run back in. Nice, Grady. These days, usually people just stay in for the breath, so I'm gonna, you know, if it looks like we're struggling, then you know, I'll show you where you can run back to if you're struggling to stay alive through the breath. It's just, you know, just back to the side. Also, make sure you don't go like up under the dragon. There's a firewall there that's actually going to kill you. When you're fighting the dragon, you basically want to be right where her head is and make sure that you're getting numbers. Casters can sort of hang back. There's like a stalactite in the back, like on either side. You can hang back there and just sort of hide behind that. It'll shield you from the breath. After a minute or so, there's going to be some trash mobs that spawn, 2 of them. People hanging out in the back can just take those down. They're not too tough, these, you know, by today's standards. And also, I'm not sure if this is a set amount of time. If it's, you know, I've heard people say like after 10 infernos, there are these eggs that will spawn. And sometimes groups will be able to kill Vela before those eggs even spawn, and that's great. If we get to that point where the eggs spawn, we really need to break off of Vela and kill all the eggs, because if we don't, then they're all going to hatch fire elementals, and you know, we could have 20 fire elementals running around the platform, and that's going to be a big problem. And so, if we call out eggs, just break off from Vela and just split up and start killing all the little eggs. They're little eggs on the ground, little red eggs. But we need one person to stay on Vela, because if everybody leaves Vela, she'll start comet falling the party, and then that becomes problematic. So maybe Harmonique, you can be the one to stay on Vela through everything.
That's fine.
Okay, great, thank you.
And I should just like to mention too how incredibly disappointed I was first time I seen those eggs hatch. We didn't have a bunch of little dragons running around.
Oh, I know, right? Come on, I mean, since when do fire elementals come out of eggs? Okay, let's get some last minute buffs, folks. Remember, everybody's gonna go to the base that they're assigned to. You're gonna kill all the trash, then you're gonna prep the gens to 20%. When you're prepped to 20, call it out. You know, base 1 prep, base 2 prep, whatever. Once we're all prepped, we'll give the kill order, take down the gens, take down the pillars. Once that's all done, we'll get a message, then we run back and into the big center island. Any questions?
You want group 2 to go first?
Base 2 does go first. Don't go yet, and you usually give them about a 10-second head start because they got a farther distance to run. And so base 1 is going to be Edits, Lilana, Oprecious, and Musk. Base 2 will be Harmonique, Harvester, Sohu, and Monkst. And base 1 and 2 will go to the left when you get to the top of the ramp. And then base 3 will be Ginger, Grotti, Karstag, and Pelcastaldo. Any questions before we get started? Base 2, folks, you're on. Remember, be careful of lag. You don't want to fall off, and if you do fall, try to get to that center platform. You might get once you run past base 1, you might get teleported back to it. Just keep going if that happens to you. Base 1 and 3, go ahead. Base 3 goes to the right, base 1 goes to the left.
So spell absorption block that teleport?
I don't know. It's a good question. Or kill all trash, and then gens.
Base 2's in play. Our gen's about ready.
We're not ready on base 3 yet. Don't kill, guys. Prep your gens to 20%. Base 3 is prepped. Is base 2 prepped, you said?
Yep. One's prepped.
Alright, go ahead and kill your gens. And kill your pillars.
Two down.
Alright, the last pillar is wrecked. D-door back to the start if you can. If not, just run back. Yeah, that was awesome. That was perfect. If you got Sohu's soul stone, just bring it back and we'll raise him in the center.
I got it.
Great. That was exactly how it's supposed to go. If you're with an unorganized group, then no, we're not going back to home base. We're going right in the middle, guys. Right up the center to the south. If you're with an unorganized group, then you know, you can sit there and beat those pillars down for, you know, endlessly, and it can be really frustrating, and it's where people rage quit. We need people to go in on Vela. Should be under her head. Now watch her. If you're new to this, watch her nostrils. You'll see she'll do a little fire puff out of them, and that's her tell saying that she's going to do her. She just did it. She's going to do her breath weapon here in just a moment. If you find that you're having trouble staying alive through the breath weapon, then just run behind the stalagmites in the back. We got trash in the back. People in the back, just kill the trash. Melees stay on Vela. Remember, if we get eggs, everybody but Harmonique is going to work on eggs. I'll call it out if we get them. kind of hoping that we do, just so that the folks that are new can see what they're like. In fact, let's go ahead and do that. Let's not take Vela down until after eggs. So when she gets down to about 5, we'll stop all DPS. Because I want people to see that.
I'll back off, but I can't speak for Underdog.
Okay. Alright, stop all DPS on Vela until after eggs. She's going to start comet falling us because there's nobody on her right now. So you'll get to see what that's like too.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. It's actually good for people to see. Eggs are up. Everybody work on eggs. And like I said, if we didn't kill those in time, they would hatch into fire elementals. Okay, eggs are done. Go ahead and take down Vela. Great job, folks. Congrats on your first completion for those of you it's your first. And if it's your first completion, go ahead and help yourself to one of the chests. There are 4 of them. Or actually, anybody that's here for the teaching raid, help yourself to the chests. If anybody has any questions about any of the raid that we've done, part 5 or 6, now's the time to ask. The eggs do give spell points. Yep, I forgot about that.